Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima. Welcome back to Let's Play Gundam Breaker 3. Last time we went through the first half of Chapter 4. This time we're going to be going through the second half of Chapter 4. Which is going to be a nightmare for those of you who hate multi-screening, because we're basically going to be doing the entire chapter that way, because as it turns out the chapter is already done. We're already on to Chapter 5. But I already got everything done here in Chapter 4. Because, you see, all of the missions coming up so far are 2 missions followed by 1 mission, 3 times over. And there's very little worth talking about individually across all 9 missions. There is a few things worth talking about, and I'll be slotting in my own commentary there from time to time, but we're going to be doing this in a way that we're going to actually be screening these missions in batches of 3. So we'll be doing these 2, and this one, these 2, and this one, and these 2, and this one. And I'll be popping in with the necessary commentary when I feel it necessary. And then we'll come back after all of that and talk about what we unlocked over the course of the 4th chapter. With that said, I'm just going to start rolling the footage from the first chapter. See you in a minute. Alright, so we're here in the first batch of missions. Mission 405, Ride On, which is on the bottom left. Mission 406, which is Heat Up, on the bottom right. And Mission 407, which is News, top middle. And yes, these mission names are getting so weird. Like seriously, the one up top is just called News. I mean, there is a subtitle which is like GBTA Qualifiers 3, but this tournament has 0 relevance to the story whatsoever, so it's so hard to care. And it's so weird, man. Like, News? That's the least exciting mission name I could imagine for something like this. Notably, Ride On is also the catchphrase of a certain Japanese celebrity called Hard Gay. I cannot help but think of that catchphrase every time I see the name of this stupid mission. But yes, there is a couple of things notable going on. Bottom right corner, Heat Up, I should say. Around the time that it finishes, because it's a very simple mission. It's just a few regular boss battles. And at the end, you get to see a relatively different set of PGs, perfect grades, than you would normally see, but they've got mostly the same tricks that the rest of the PGs do, so it's not exactly that interesting of a fight. What is a more interesting fight, though, is the fight at the end of News. Because the fight at the end of News actually has an interesting player team. Most of the players in this game are just not so much a random combination of parts, but they're just like a combination of parts from a bunch of different Gunpla, right? These guys are a little bit different. It's the Bear G Guy 3 team. And for whatever reason, the Bear G Guy 3 team has the unique ability that if they're knocked on the ground and all their parts are off, you can't ground break them. It's impossible to get them to a point where you can stab them while they're on the ground and get the instant kill. And it seems entirely unique to this unit in this particular scale. I find it to be really odd, personally. Just what a strange choice. It also makes that battle a fair bit longer than it needs to be, just because you can't take them out the normal way. You have to soak them in damage, otherwise they will just not die. And then, of course, you get to fight them twice, because that's what all the core assault missions have been doing up to this point. It makes that part of the mission like 10 minutes longer than it needs to be. So, yeah, have fun watching that on the end of this footage. That's pretty much all there is to it. My build hasn't changed in the slightest from the last video. So it's entirely the Lance, it's the twin pistols, it's the same EX actions, and it's the same basically everything for now. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the missions. I'll be back in approximately 20 minutes.
りそうだ。何？そこだ。足止めを。
いただくわ。
圧が外れた。あ、体勢を。うわっ、食らえ。食らえ。動かない。やって。おっと。圧が外れた。はっ。ほら。何？やってくれたな。俺のバーンズ。動きが鈍い。食らえ。まだ。ここからだ。動きが鈍い。もう少しだ。押しまくれ。こんな。やってくれたな。いけるのか。食らえ。そら。こんなはずじゃ。ぶちのめす。そこだ。おっと、パーツが。じゃ、このままじゃ。足止めを。いけるぞ。もうちょいだ。動かない。ここだ。このままじゃ。うわっ、パーツが。ここまでか。よくも。おっと。圧がない。そこだ。うわっ。いけるぞ。もうちょいだ。こんなとこで。おりゃ。
敵が来たわ。
まだ。
えい。ダメージやばいよ。
じゃ。
ダメージやばいよ。
おりゃ。
やっ。えい。
硬いのが来たぞ。
もう。やっ。 くない。私のパンツどこ？
もう少しだ。そう押しまくれ。
もう私のパンツどこ？私のパンツどこ？まだやれる。
Man, you gotta feel bad for Misa. We get a 30-second cutscene that's dedicated entirely to saying, oh, Misa got her ass beat when she wasn't with our team. It makes me feel so bad for her, and all the Jar Jar Binks jokes I've been making at her expense.
参加するが、なんと大会史上初めて外国人ファイター同士が決勝を争うこととなった。30分に及ぶ激しいバトルの末、優勝はロクト選手が勝ち取った。惜しくも敗れたミサ選手は先日開催されたガンプラバトルジャパンカップ優勝チームメンバー。
ロクト先輩とミサちゃんで決勝戦だってすごいわね。
ロクト先輩と張り合うって結構すげえぞ。
男子3日合わさればっか。こいつは女だけど帰るの楽しみだな。
Here we are with batch number 2. On the top left, we have cool time. On the top right, we have reheating. Seriously, the stupid names. And number 410 in the bottom right, on the rocks. Which is odd because as far as I can tell, this mission has no rocks, at least to start with. It does get there. And you do have to fight some perfect grades again in On the Rocks, but outside of that, there's really not much to say about these missions until the end of On the Rocks. And I'll be saving that until after all of the missions of that batch have been played. I will also point out that I did unlock a few of the extra EX actions, so they will be on display throughout these 3 missions.
ないで。
標的注意だ。
断しないでね。
関節が
もうダメージやばいよ。
負けられない。圧が外れた。手強いな。くらえ。足止めを。まだまだ負けんよ。
あと一息。
スタンスだ。そこだ。意地を見せよう。
避けないで。
面白い。だ。また出直しだ。いけるぞ。もうちょいだ。まだ。おっと。ぶちのめす。やってくれたな。足止めを。まだ。
ごめん、ありがとう。
そこだ。損傷した。なかなか。まだまだ。
そこで。
ここだ。
もう
うわっ。劣勢か。いけるぞ。もうちょいだ。反撃だ。
やっ避けたでしょ。
足止めを。おっと。これはまずい。そんなバカな。最後か。
この
やってくれたな。うわっ。圧がない。おっと。動いてくれ。うわっ。
避けないで。
そこだ。おっと。
あと一息。
こんなとこで。
今よ、コアに攻撃を。
くらえ。
It's the Gelge. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, because it's weird in Japanese like that. But yes, it's the spider bot thing from one of the Gundam Seed Destiny spin-offs. I don't claim to know or have seen what it is it's from, but it is a giant spider bot thing with tons of lasers and projectiles you should really stay out of the way of. But his most damaging attack, and the one you really need to avoid, is that one where he puts up the purple shield and charges. If he hits you with that, it's enough to take out over half of your health meter, probably 2/3 of it, and it'll knock all your parts off simultaneously. It's definitely the most dangerous attack he's got, but thankfully, he is pretty easily beatable by just following the basic steps. Avoid all of his ranged attacks and fire back. I actually took him out really quickly here. We do get to see all of his moves. Always be wary of when he stops taking damage, because that means he'll be going into a new phase and he'll be invincible for a little bit. But outside of that, he's actually really simple. I managed to get him in under like 5 minutes, which is something I don't usually manage to do on my playthroughs of Gundam Breaker 3, but there you go. I just must be getting better at this game or something. Who knows? He's still a pretty fun boss fight though, and yeah, if you aren't ready for a lot of those ranged attacks, they will pummel you. I'll shut up and let you watch the last little bit of it. Good boss.
体勢を
もう大丈夫。
サンキュー
狙い撃ちよ。
いただくぞこれからだろは
ごめん、ありがとう。
あ
私のパーツ。
こんなはずじゃぶちのめすいけるぞもうちょいだまだパーツかこんなはずじゃ
もう少しね。頑張ろう。
は
もう。
あパーツどこ行った
避けないで。
うらえよっしゃ俺たちの勝ちだ
And here we are with the final batch of missions. In the top left, we have 411 Tour Final, which makes no sense because this isn't even the final mission of the tour. In the top right, we have Nostalgia, which doesn't make much sense either because we've seen this mission a couple of times already. And number 413, Journey's End, which again doesn't make any sense because this isn't the end of the journey. This is only chapter 4. We haven't even gone through the DLC yet. But anyway, once again, not much interesting in this batch until the very end of the final mission, because it has another new boss fight for us to take on. A bit weird that they would throw two of them so close together, both brand new. And also of note is that in the one that's in the bottom right, before you fight the new boss, you also fight a couple of new types of perfect raids. They're Master Gundam perfect raids, with their bloody shining, well not shining finger attacks, but basically they can charge in, get you from behind, and hurt you very badly. Most of their attacks usually take off like 1/3 to half of your health in one shot. So just same plan as always. Focus on one, beat the shit out of it, and try and avoid the other one getting behind you, and you'll generally be okay. Just make sure you keep those healing items out.
そこだ
こ
か。もう少しだ。押しまくれ。だ、やばいか。
まだやれる。
当てる。
私のバズ
やばいか。ここだ。
パーツが
開けるのか。
もう
強い。
私のパーツ。いった避けないで。動けない。少し手加減してよ。
ぶちのめす。
動けない。強すぎる。
もう少しだ。押しまくれ。
いったもうダメだ。先に進みましょう。
敵だ。はい。
ダメージやばいよ。
今行くからな。まだ。
来てくれてありがとう。で避けないで。
もらい。まだ。おりゃ。
当たって。えいもう
この椅子にバリアが。
このえい敵撃破。
ぶちのめす。モノリスのバリア消えたぞ。はい。
この
たいのが来たぞ。ぶちのめす。やった。
モノリスのバリア消滅。
そこだ。油断すんなよ。やる。
動けない。まだやれる。
やる。ここだ。負けられない。手強いだ。
私のパーツ。まだやれる。
パーツを落とすか。
あと一息。
まだ。
動けない。
出直した。
私のパーツ。
ぶちのめす。
私のパーツ。当たって。そこね。動けない。
もう少しだ。押しまくれ。
避けないで。動けない。嘘でしょ。
さあ来い。
敵よ。
まだ
ダメージやばいよ。私の完成。ダメージやばいよ。
まだ
ダメージやばいよ。
ぶちのめす。
避けたでしょ。
そうまずいな。
避けたでしょ。
待ってろ。そうまずいな。まだ
ごめん、ありがとう。もう回復するね。もう今もう
ここだ。
避けたでしょ。そこね。狙い撃ちよ。
やるな。
当たって避けたでしょ。
やるな。モノリスのバリア消えたぞ。
モノリスを攻撃するわ。はあ、やったね。油断しないでね。
And finally, the one, the only, Big Zam! With a Y in the heads-up display for some reason. Why? I have no idea. Actually, to be fair, I kind of do. As it turns out, there is a sort of romanization thing going on when you're talking about translating Japanese to English. And I'm willing to bet the Y is just a sort of error in that translation process. It's also notable that if you look closely at the shoulder of the Big Zam, it's actually got a Big Zam sticker right there. So it's pretty obviously a translation error of some kind. Although it seems that this has carried through to a couple of other kinds of these bloody big monstrosities of Gundams, so who knows, what do I know? But anyway, Big Zam, actually a pretty fun boss fight. He's pretty damn quick on his feet. He's got these big stomps, these kicks, and he's able to jump everywhere, which definitely improves his, not only his ability to move around a bit, but to catch you off guard. He's also got this really cool attack where lasers shoot from every direction of him, and the entire game will freeze up for half a second to catch up. It's so cool. It's legitimately really cool. We made this attack so powerful that it kills the Vita for a split second, and I quite like that. I like that a lot. Best way to avoid that attack? Just be directly under him. He can't do anything to you if you're directly under him. Any other place on the map and you're vulnerable to some sort of damage, but when you're under him, you are invincible. At least until he stops doing the attack and then he kicks you in the fucking face and sends you flying across the screen, because that is legitimately a really fun little trick that he can pull there. He's got a couple of phases, but he keeps the majority of his attacks throughout. Yeah, just stand under him, beat the shit out of him, and you'll generally do fine.
よくやった。よくやったよ、お前たち。私は感動して。よしよし、泣かないで、望月ちゃん。
これで終わりか。なんかあっという間だったな。
お前たち、沖縄に帰っても元気でな。ありがとう、望月ちゃん。
楽しかったよ、お前と組めて。負けるなよ。
応援してるからね。ミサちゃんによろしく。
それでは久しぶりにみんな揃ったところで乾杯。
乾杯。
いやー、すげえな。しかし国際大会で勝ちまくりだろ。
ミサちゃんも準優勝だものね。
あとちょっとで優勝だったのにな。
でもこれならあの百貨店の棟梁だって敵じゃねえな。
ひどいっすねさん。自分だけ海外旅行して。
旅行じゃねえよ。ガンプラバカのサポートしてたんだよ。
望月、お前な、金使いすぎなんだよ。なんで4人分の滞在費全部俺持ちなんだよ。
ボーナス出たっつってたろ。
ボーナスだけで足りるか。また例のあれでこき使ってやるからな。
やめろ。ああ、私もミスラちゃんたちに会いたかったな。ニュースサイトで3人がチーム組んでるのは知ってたんだ。へえ。で、どう思った？ って私が一緒に出たかったなーってジェラシーな
若さに乾杯。
乾杯。違う、そういうんじゃない。宇宙エレベーター、太平洋赤道上に浮かぶメガフロートから静止軌道ステーション、そして先端のカウンターウェイトへとテザーと呼ばれる糸でつながっている。人類が30年という時間を費やして作り上げた来るべき宇宙時代への扉だ。
ようこそ宇宙エレベーターへ。私は宇宙エレベーターコントロール AI です。本大会の進行管理を任されることになりました。わずかな期間ですが皆様よろしくお願いします。
AI が大会の進行管理？
宇宙エレベーターは全てを AI がコントロールしてるんだ。カーゴの発着スケジュールからデブリ回避マニューバーまでな。イベントスケジュールをインプットして進行管理させてるんだろ。
ハイテクだね。
やあ、来たね。
約束守ってよね。商店街は絶対潰させないから。
へえ、お嬢さん見違えたね。いや、いいよ。思ってた以上に楽しくなりそうだ。行こう、ドロシー。
はい。それでは皆さん、これから宇宙エレベーター見物がありますので。
ドロシー。
私、このような巨大建造物を前にして舞い上がっているようです。
いたいた、こんにちは。あれ、あなた確か MC の人。
そうよ、覚えててくれて嬉しいな。
どうしてこんなところに？
あなたたちは日本一なのよ。そのチームが世界大会に出るってことでレポーターとして派遣されてきたの。早速で悪いけどちょっとそのままそこにいて。マイクチェック OK。 カメラスタート。はい、始めます。皆さんこんにちは。私は今太平洋に浮かぶメガフロートの上に立っています。そう、皆さんご存知宇宙エレベーターに来てるんです。
いきなり何？
ここでこれから開催されるガンプラバトル世界大会、そこに出場する我らが日本代表チームの方にお話を伺ってみます。はい、カメラに向かって本大会への意気込みをどうぞ。
カメラなんてどこに？
すぐ近くを飛んでるよ。カメラ搭載のマイクロドローンがあなたの正面をずっとフォローしてるから前を向いて話せば OK。
優勝目指して頑張ります。
はーい、 OK。 じゃあ私は他の取材があるから応援してるからね。まもなく予選開始時間となります。選手の方は準備をお願いします。
Alright, did you have fun? That was probably an hour and a half of your time. I got no idea how long it is yet. I haven't even done the edit. But we might as well talk about what's new. So, notably, when we finished episode 4, we unlocked 2 things in the assemble menu. We unlocked over in EX Actions, when it loads up, we unlocked the ability to change our burst type, which allows us to specialize a little bit in what going into Awakening does. Everything from gauge recovery speed and increasing your attack power, to making everybody slow down, to making everyone recover all of their health and increase their defense, and the default, which is lightning, which is it makes you faster and hit harder, reduces how much your boost consumes, and makes everybody on your team faster. My usual personal preference is the assault type, just because it makes you stronger, and that's kind of the entire point. But there you go. We also unlocked a new SD Gundam to select, the Versal Knight Gundam. And the game automatically swaps over to that Gundam once you unlock him. For the purposes of getting the EX actions, we're going to be going back to the Musha Gundam for a little bit, just to fill out that bar and get the EX action. But yeah, those are the two things you unlock by directly finishing Chapter 4. But by starting Chapter 4, you actually unlock something new as well. We won't be taking advantage of this until the episodes in Chapter 5, but I might as well show you right now. Some of these weapons have a new trick to them. They have new elemental damage. That's basically what all this is. Dissolve damage is basically poison. Pulse damage is basically electricity. Prominence damage is basically fire. And Brinicle damage is basically freezing. And they all do pretty much exactly what they say on the tin. And some enemies are more affected by it than others, but frankly, I haven't seen it affect much of anything. Just pick any particular weapon that you feel like and go. Although it is worth noting that these different kinds of damages can only be increased in specific ways. So let's say I picked the Brinicle damage weapon here, for example. The only way to bring up the Brinicle damage is by fusing another Brinicle damage weapon into this weapon. So as you can see, if I fuse this one here, which has 915, it will raise this one to 909. So in that case, you're really better off in waiting for a bit, seeing if you get one with really high elemental damage, because you can seriously get some really high bonuses just at random. Like 1784 is pretty good. I saw this one down here, which is just flat out bonus damage, which is great because it means you don't have to worry about anything like that. But yeah, 2,500 bonus damage, really damn good, at least early on. And the nice thing is, at least up until Extreme and New Type, you really don't have to worry about these sorts of damages that much. So I would really recommend just waiting for a little bit. Waiting until the end of Chapter 5 and seeing how you come along with all these different kinds of damage. It's also worth noting a more efficient way of actually improving it is your package merge. I haven't actually shown this off on camera yet. What package merge does is it merges all of the stats that were there previously into your new item. So it'll merge all of the elemental damage of the weapon straight onto it. Relatively simple like that. It'll also do the same with different abilities. So the best thing to do is to get the 10 abilities that you like onto a gold grade weapon, and then just merge all of these weapons for all of the experience, all of the upgrades to the abilities, and all of the upgrades to your preferred elemental damage that you can get. It is also worth trying to get more than one type of damage, because both your weapons can have a different kind of damage. So you can have like Brinicle on one and Prominence on another, and that'll be nice. And there are also some EX actions that will cause different kinds of this elemental damage. So for example, the Sword of Flame gives you Prominence damage. It's actually one of the ways to get it's actually one of the ways to get elemental damage early on. Really damn useful, in some cases at least. It's also worth noting that chances are, if you've been getting and using... Oh, sorry, one thing I forgot. Along with the new SD module, SD selection, we also got a third SD module. So now we can set a third slot. And I recommend basically just keeping it like this for the entire game. Don't worry about your attack, your recovery, or your burst. You'll be able to get those powered up via individual abilities. Analyzing weak points, high-speed learning, and treasure hunting are all a lot harder to get, so I would fully recommend you just stick with those three as soon as you can get them. Two other things I'd like to know. By this point, you're probably filling up on a certain kind of part. I certainly did. In the middle of the recording, I actually had to go and fix up the amount of legs that I had because I had too many legs. So if we go over to the shop... Oh, one other thing. While we're here, might as well. Look who's back. When the game decides it wants to load. It's Misa! As soon as you finish the final mission and see the final cutscene, it's pretty obvious that she's back, and so she just immediately turns up, and you can go and piss her off again. It's a rite of passage at this point. I missed you, Misa. So you might have noticed that you'll probably have an absolute ton of spare parts left over that you need to get rid of, because otherwise you will just not have enough room. Like, you get 900 parts for every slot. So you still got a fair amount of room, but you're still going to run out of room pretty quick. So here's what I recommend you do. Go to your cell menu, hit triangle, and filter out everything that is not a white part. And then sell everything by holding the circle button and pressing square. These parts usually aren't worth much, at least not with their abilities, because they don't come with much in the way of abilities, they don't come with much in the way of damage, and sometimes they'll come with like decent environmental damage, but you're more or less better off waiting for a higher quality one to come along and just use that instead. So I just recommend doing that to clear out all of your parts, and you will still hold on to all the ones that have abilities that can potentially help you out later on. Like, for example, there's some treasure hunter right there. That will be useful. Yes, I recommend you do that as often as you need to, because, hell, it gets to the point, at least on the Vita version, where the game will start lagging because you've got so many parts in the list that it takes a while for the game to even decide it can load it. So yeah, anytime you get the opportunity, just come in, filter them out, select all the parts, sell them, and then you also probably want to come back here and turn these filters back on, because annoyingly, these filters actually carry over to the parts mergers screens and things like that. So you'll go into your arms and you'll see that you've only got like 4 normals and a head, the one that you've got equipped, and you'll be like, what the hell? Where did all my weapons go? Yeah, it can be kind of annoying like that. I would recommend that you do that. It is also possible to add certain filters to them. What was the button that does that again? I think you might have to do it back in the assemble menu. Also, just while we're at the shop, you've probably got a bunch of plastic left over at this point. If you found your build and you're sticking to it for the most part, you got a favorite weapon, you got a favorite set of body parts and what have you, I'd recommend coming back here, at least at the beginning of Chapter 5, and you'll generally be able to safely sell all of your low quality plastics and regular plastics, because you'll be getting high quality plastic and low quality hard plastic like candy. So you're better off just selling all of that and getting all the money you can get your hands on to spend it on suits or builder's parts if you feel like getting a bit of visual customization in. That should be it for the end of Chapter 4. In the next episode of Let's Play Gundam Breaker 3, we'll go and start Chapter 5 and get the final multi-screen of the entire Let's Play. Hopefully you'll miss it. This video is probably going to take like 8 hours to render, because it seriously takes really long when you've got more than one video stream on screen at once, especially if it's 3 1080p streams that are all being compressed down to 540p, because I'm recording all this at 1080p. But you know what the funny thing is? I don't even have to record at 1080p, because this is just running at 540p internally anyway, so it's not like it's going to make a difference, but oh well. It'll still capture in higher quality anyway. With that said, this has been Blue Maxima. I'll see you all next time.